Hey, everybody. Welcome to the True Crime Friday Night Special. I am very excited to be here tonight, and I am not going to lie. If you could hear it, there is one hell of a thunderstorm raging outside right behind me. So if you can hear it right on, I do hope you can, because it does seem absolutely perfect that this should be happening on the True Crime Friday night. So I hope you are all in your robes, because it is very creepy here in Texas tonight. And if you are having problems watching the stream, or if it keeps buffering, just hit the refresh button and everything should be fine. So tonight, remember, we are going to have a true crime month. And instead of actually talking about Ronald Goldman and Nicole Simpson and their consequent murder, I wanted to talk about this for an entire month, because this is going to take a while to discuss, because there's a lot of questions in regards to this case. I am not going to lie. I went online today, and if it really wasn't for the fact that I was really busy this afternoon and then really busy because the thunderstorm hit, I would have continued to research this theory. But guys, don't forget, there is going to be poll questions starting this next week regarding this case, because I found some great information regarding this case online, and some great conspiracy theories that a lot of them are just shit ideas. However, I'm sorry, God, if I offended you or Mother Nature in any way. But there's one of them, one conspiracy theory that's out there, that even though it could be ultimate bullshit, there is actual great credence to it. So, and let me guys, let me know if you can hear the actual thunderstorm raging outside. It's literally raining right here and right there. So, and then the thunderstorm is really shaking the house sometimes. So hopefully you guys will be able to hear it. So what we're going to do tonight is we are going to actually talk about Ronald Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson, because there is, we'll talk about the conspiracy later. It involves the Mezzaluna. I believe that is the name of the restaurant that Ron worked at. And he was not the only employee to be killed during like the, I think, 93 through 95. There were at least 4 to 5 other people who either went missing or who were murdered. So there is actual credence to this conspiracy theory. And I just wanted to talk about that in another episode, but I did want you guys to know that I will be covering conspiracy theories in this live stream. So it won't be in this one. We're going to talk about Ron and Nicole in this live stream, and hopefully it will last and the weather will hold for us. So let's kick it off with Ron Goldman. Guys, this young man was nearly a saint. And you're going to think to yourself, what? But he really was, guys. Okay, so Ron, in his early life, he was born on July 2nd in 1968, which I was born in 1978, so he's 10 years older than me. Obviously, he is no longer alive, but if Ron were alive, he would be coming up to his 51st birthday. And Ron grew up in Buffalo Grove, Illinois, near Chicago. And I am so sorry. I hear my kitty cat in the garage, and nobody else is down here, and it's really kind of thundering and lightning, and I know Waldo is scared. So just give me one moment. I want to get him very quickly. I'm coming, baby. Come on, baby. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. So I'm sorry. I had to grab my sweet Waldo. I'm sure he was scared in the garage at this time. I just want to make sure too that I came back to the right angle of the camera. Okay, so Ronald Goldman was the oldest child. He had a younger sister, Kimberly, and his parents divorced not too long after he was born. So he was probably about 6 years old when his parents got divorced. And he spent some time with his mom, Sharon. His mom, Sharon Ruffo, I believe is his mother's name. And, but I guess it just didn't work out. So he was raised later by his father, Fred Goldman, and his younger sister, Kim. So Kim and Ronald, or excuse me, Ron, actually lived with their dad instead of their mom. And you can obviously tell that they were very close to their dad. During this time too, Ron was, I'm sorry, I keep saying Ronald. I don't think that was the name that he used. I think he preferred Ron. So Ron, though, was an incredibly kind person. He worked as a camp counselor in his younger years, and he volunteered to help disabled children. I mean, this is obviously such a great person who had patience and kindness. And his sister, Kim, too. She really admired and cared about her big brother. And as far as I can tell from articles and everything, they had a very close relationship, all three of them. He might not have been as close to his mom, obviously, but he was very close to his dad and to his sister. So Ron, though, grew up in the Jewish faith. So I guess he probably had a bar mitzvah because we're going to be planning one. I guess a bat mitzvah is what Callie is going to get. That's coming up soon. So yeah, so a lot of us out there can definitely sympathize with their family. I do not come from divorced parents, but I know some of you out there do. So it can be very strenuous. You know, you're young, your parents are divorced, you're living with one of them, and you're also your siblings. You try to stay, strict with your faith, and you're a very kind person who tries to stay good in this world, even though you've seen so much bad. So Ron attended high school in Illinois. Because remember, he grew up in Buffalo Grove, and I don't know the name of the school, and I apologize. I got most of my information from Wikipedia and from articles that Kim and Fred had done talking about Ron. It's really difficult to get out there, guys, and actually, I'm sorry, Mother Nature, I don't mean to piss you off. It's really hard to find specific things about Ron. I'm sure that the family has actually written a book about Ron. And it's really hard, though, to find things out there of Kim and Fred just talking specifically about him and who he was. Obviously, when you think, oh, well, wait, just go to any documentary. But in those kinds of documentaries, you get the exact same thing. He was athletic. He was fun. He studied psychology and he loved kids. You'd get just those kind of generic things. You really wouldn't get more of the intimate details of like what Kim really loved about her big brother. What was a time where he really stuck up for her or made her feel like he loved her, things like that. It would be really fun to talk to them in that kind of way, because I don't think they've ever done those kinds of interviews before. And if they did, sadly, I haven't found them. But Ron, excuse me, he graduated from high school and he attended the Illinois State University for 1 semester. And he studied in psychology and he pledged to Sigma Nu fraternity. But then at that time, after that first semester, his family was going to move to Southern California. And again, his family was just his dad and his sister. So he is an 18-year-old college freshman who has just completed his first semester. And it's either stay at your college or follow your family to, completely almost across the country. So that's what he did. He is a family man and he moved with his family and dropped out of college. But though when he did arrive, though in California, he did start taking classes at Pierce College. And he really discovered that he loved living in California. He learned how to surf and he played like beach volleyball, did the whole rollerblading thing on Venice Beach. And he was a very young, attractive young man. So he definitely fit in very well at the nightclubs. And of course, when you're young and you're attractive, and if you have money and if you have that kind of personality, you're going to love to go to the clubs. I'm sorry, I see a mosquito jumping around at my lights, and it makes me think I hope it stays there because after the live stream, I'm going to kill it. I'm just thinking about killing it now, but I don't want to knock over my expensive lights. So if all of a sudden, if I start like reaching out at things, don't think that I'm schizophrenic or bipolar. I am just trying to get to the mosquito that is flopping around my house right now. Okay, so after Ron had moved to California and discovered how much he liked it, he did not live with his family. So despite the fact that he moved to California to be with them, he did not live in the same house with him. And he supported himself by working as an employment headhunter and also as a tennis instructor, which, obviously I'm sure he made good money in California and got some great tang. Let's just not deny that. He's a young, good-looking, tan, blonde man in California who's a tennis instructor. I'm sure he got a shit ton of poontang. And so you got to say that Ron was probably really enjoying his life. And he supported himself, though not through the headhunter and the instructor. He did a whole bunch of waiter positions. He did work as a model for Barry Zeld's. I think that's who it was. I guess it was a restaurant in Brentwood, but I guess he didn't work there very long as the model. I don't know. He went to Mezzaluna immediately after that. So he did also earn an EMT license shortly before his death, but decided not to pursue that field in his career. So, the kid could have been an EMT. He was obviously intelligent enough to earn his license. And let me tell you, I had a friend of mine out there who was trying to earn the EMT license. And that's very hard. It's very difficult. I've seen his exams and they were, extraordinary. They were something that I would not have been able to pass. And I consider myself quite brilliant. So this obviously is quite an extraordinary young man. So it just seems such a shame that, he was in such a prime of his life, really trying to focus on where he wanted to go and what he wanted to do. And he decided instead of being an EMT or doing other things with his life that he wanted to open his own bar or restaurant in Brentwood. And I think that he actually had started working together with his friends to actually name the restaurant and, actually get people who could be the bartender, the chef. He actually started finding people who could help him run his restaurant and be certain heads. So it was he was a very career-oriented and very focused young man. Let's see. Ron also had aspirations to be an actor, and he appeared as a contestant on the game show Studs, which was very short-lived in 1992. Now, one thing that is very controversial is his relationship with Nicole Brown Simpson. And even Ron's own friends even testified that the two of them were just friends. Okay, so even the Los Angeles Times reported that Ron and Nicole were just friends. They had met about 6 weeks before they were killed when he borrowed her Ferrari. And that's something we're going to get to as well about Nicole here soon. Nicole Brown was an extremely generous and kind young woman. She was very ambitious, but she also had a very kind soul. And when she saw someone struggling or needed help, she helped them. And so I don't know exactly how Ron and Nicole met, but it was through the fact that she loaned him her Ferrari. And he went to go meet, Ron went to go meet a friend for lunch that day, Craig Clark. So he asked Nicole to borrow her car. She said yes. And when Ron went to go meet his friend, he told Clark that the car was Nicole's and that they were just friends. He did not specifically say that she was his girlfriend, and quote said that they were just friends. And so after he borrowed her Ferrari, they did get close as friends. They did accompany each other to dinner and coffee sometimes, went to dance clubs, and let's see, and dinner during the month and a half before they died. Okay, so police and friends, relatives, everybody even corroborated that their relationship was simply platonic. They were not seeing each other. And so, there is so many people out there that really truly felt that these two were seeing each other. And I gotta say that to me, it just seemed that they were not. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. And that is something that I am going to start asking in the poll as well, and start stating some facts about Ron, because he was this incredible, kind young man. And it's like the Farrah Fawcett syndrome. Poor Farrah Fawcett died right after Michael Jackson. So everybody only cared about Michael, and nobody really mourned or gave her the proper respect at her death that she deserved. So because Ron was killed with Nicole, everybody only thinks about Nicole. They don't think about this young, handsome, brilliant, wonderful hearted, kind spirited young man that was murdered in his prime. They don't focus on him. They don't talk about him. And I think that that is absolutely insane, because Ron lost his life as well. And from what the police believe, and what I do honestly believe, is that the poor kid walked in at the wrong place at the wrong time. It is possible that, based on police records and sketches, and I want to say this very quickly because I have researched this, guys. The way that Ron and Nicole were attacked and the way they fell, the perpetrator did not enter through the screened patio door up front. The perpetrator was already in. And there was a tree on one side, a whole bunch of bushes, and then there was the step down and the pathway, and then the little fence. And we'll go over this again in another, probably next week, to show you guys more detailed of the murder scene. And there is actually online a 3D representation of this, so you can actually see it better there. But the police can figure that based on the way that the trajectories of the body, the stab wounds, and the way that they were, the perpetrator hid behind, or had already entered into the porch, up the steps, and kind of behind some of the bushes. So when Nicole walked past the perpetrator, he was kind of on this side of her, and she never saw him until she went down the steps, let Ron in the thing, maybe chit-chatted with him for a second, and then he came out and surprised them both, popped Nicole in the head and popped Ron on the head. Because they both were, in their autopsy reports, noted that they had head injuries. Excuse me, and I do apologize. Since we are not in that section yet of the video, I do not have the notes of where exactly they were hit. But Ron and Nicole were hit in their temples, and each in their heads. And then they were stabbed, and then Nicole was decapitated. So the police broke it down of how they figured of how he did it. And it's very chilling that of when you see it, you think, oh my God, I really did just see, maybe of how it happened. But that's not what OJ says in the book. If I did it, and I need to actually go through again and reread of when he said that he killed Nicole. So, and then just compare it to what the police said, and then we can kind of like go back and forth and compare those. But Ronald basically was a waiter at the Mezzaluna restaurant, and of course Nicole had went there that night with her family to go have dinner. Now Ron was not the one who served him. It was another waiter. And of course everybody knows that after a quick search, Nicole and her mother realized that her mother's glasses were gone, so they called the restaurant. The waiter who helped them said, "Yes, okay, we've got them." But Ron said, "Hey, oh, I know Nicole. I know where she lives. I'll just take him to her after I get off work." That's how it ended. So Ron's shift ended like 9 o'clock, okay, so Goldman punched out at 9:33 p.m. and stayed another 15 minutes to have a bottled water at the bar. And that when he was in that 15 minutes having that bottled water, he was talking to his friend Stuart Tanner, who was the bartender at Mizzaluna's. The two were actually roommates, as if I can remember correctly. And Stuart was one of the people who was coming together to cooperate with Ron for the restaurant idea. So they were pretty good friends. Okay, so he sat there for 15 minutes after his shift, had a bottled water, and talked to Stuart. And Stuart said that Ron was going home and changing his clothes, and then the two of them were going to go out. They were going to hit some clubs. And his apartment was 11663 Gorham Avenue in Brentwood. And I apologize, I do not have Google locations as far as to Nicole and Ron's locations, but that is his address if you guys do want to Google it. So he did have plans to go to a club with Stuart after work. So what he was going to do was go home and change, and then he was going to come back to Mezzaluna to meet Stuart. But he was going to drop off those glasses before he went home to go change. So he told Stuart Tanner as he left in his uniform, which was a black pants and white shirt and, of course, the tie. He carried the sunglasses that he was supposed to return to Nicole's mom. And he was just a few weeks shy of his 26th birthday when he said, "I'll see you later" to Tanner as he left Mezzaluna to go return the glasses and get changed and come back to party with his friend. And of course, he arrived at the Bundy residence, and of course, very shortly afterward, he arrived at 875 South Bundy Drive. He was stabbed to death with Nicole. And they were stabbed, of course, on the walkway leading up to the condominium. I mean, it's very likely, too, that he died very shortly after he arrived. He only intended to stay, obviously, a few minutes and just to return the glasses, just do a favor for a friend who loaned him her Ferrari a couple of times and took him out to dinner a couple of times and just hung out with him like a friend. I've had many people like that. I could not imagine, because there's been many times where my friends have said, "Hey, Mary, I accidentally left something here. It's right there by you. Would you mind picking it up and dropping it for me by the house?" Or, "Hey, would you mind grabbing when you go to pick up the kids after school, would you mind grabbing mine and dropping them home for me? I can't do it today." There's just things that you never think of because it's something that you would do ordinarily, that in simply doing it, that it would just end your life. It's really insane. So I just wanted to say that again about Ronald, because he is very overlooked in this whole situation. And of course, the rights to this book, If I Did It, by O.J. Simpson, is a first-person account of how he would have committed the murders if he had committed them. Wink, wink, we know he did. So the rights to this book has been awarded to the Goldman family. That was done, I believe, August 2007. And of course, they were granted the proceeds from the book because they never got their civil lawsuit award winnings when they had sued OJ and won. So they own the copyright, media rights, and movie rights. And at first, I really felt sick purchasing this book, but it does tell you that, oh, yeah, a portion of the proceeds will be donated to the Ron Goldman Foundation for Justice right here in the insert. And that's the only reason why I bought it. And of course, it said here in the top corner that it's the Ron Goldman Foundation for Justice authorized version. So that was the only reason why I bought it. If I hadn't have saw that, I would have thought, oh my God, I'm paying OJ money, to read how he did it. I mean, I could not do that. So again, this was very nauseating. I think I vomited at least twice during reading it, but I will definitely suffer that again just to go through it one more time to get some notes for you guys. So we'll talk about this again in another stream. So let me take a couple of comments. And then, of course, Illinois, don't pronounce the S at the end. Thank you, Melinda. Let me take some comments, and then, of course, we'll move right on to Nicole. I've hung out in Buffalo Grove many a nights, LOL, says Melinda. Kinky Kitty, it's so great to have you. They said popping in to give love, going back to bed. Oops. Hold on. Because I don't feel well. Well, Kitty, we love you. Good night and feel better, darling. We love you so much. Let's see. Leaving my opinion. Some football player did some bad things with no remorse. Oh, girlfriend. You are right. Hey, Kitty, it's so great to have you. Mary's giving us some background on Ron Goldman. Thank you so much, BRT. And Melinda agrees that it's possible to have a platonic relationship with the opposite sex or the same sex. OJ is guilty, period, says Kenny. A YouTuber revisited the crime scene a few years ago. Not much to see, though. You are very right about that, BRT, because the new owners changed the way that the front looks. The tree is still there, and definitely the bushes, but it looks, it was like a long stretch and then two ways on the side that cut it off. Well, instead of what they did is they took out where the infamous gate was. They took it out and just left it open and just reconnected the gate in a separate section. So it'll look different. So they just did that because a lot of people definitely still drive by and look like, and try to, they're curious. They want to see. Why was OJ not convicted? If the glove doesn't fit, he didn't do it. Well, I call BS. Well, so does Mother Nature, Kenny. Something in the water ain't clean with this story. Ronald Goldman was very much collateral damage in this situation. OJ and Nicole were so toxic, said Kinky Kitty. OJ said he will never pay them all of what they were owed, she said as well. Yes, I know. Absolutely fucked up. All right, guys, let's move on to Nicole Brown Simpson. Nicole Brown Simpson was born May 19th, 1959, and she was a very, She was not born in the United States. I forgot to tell you guys that. Nicole was born in Frankfurt, West Germany. So her mother was German and her father was American. And let's see, when did she move there? I guess her father, I think her father might have been a soldier. But she attended Rancho Altos High School in Garden Grove, California. And of course, the Dana Hills High School in Dana Point, California, in which she graduated in 1977. And that is actually when she met O.J. Simpson. She was 18 years old and working as a waitress in Beverly Hills in a private club. I'm sorry, excuse me, I should have grabbed some water. In a private club called, I think, the Daisy, I think. But Simpson was still married to his first wife, Marguerite. And so the two began dating. And I think it was 2 years after that. 2 years after they started dating. Hi, baby. Cookie wants to say hi, too. He's afraid of the thunderstorm, so he's been sticking by very close. And it was so cute, guys. Earlier today, Waldo was coughing up a fur ball, and Cookie was so concerned about Waldo. He was like, ruff, ruff, trying to let me know that Waldo was, something was wrong with the cat. So I'd come down here and check on him. He's so sweet. He's such a good boy. I love him. So during that time, the 2 years that they were kind of seeing each other, Simpson was married. However, he did start divorce proceedings against his wife in 1979, I guess spring of 1979. So in February of 1985, that is when Nicole and OJ were actually married. So can you imagine? I mean, they dated. Okay, baby, come here. They dated for 8 years before they got married. I mean, I dated my husband for 6 years before we got married. And I knew him the day we got married. I know him now. I just don't understand how she, either she knew he was abusive before she married him. So why did she marry him even though she knew he was abusive? Or, how could he hide his true colors that whole time? I just wonder. But anyway, so 5 years before that, I guess like 1980, OJ had retired from professional football and decided to start doing other things like the Hertz Rent-A-Car commercials and the Naked Gun, that kind of stuff. So their marriage lasted 7 years. And they had 2 children, Sydney and Justin. And Sydney was born in 1985 and Justin in 1988. So these children are not much younger, if not the same age as most of you guys out there. So I do wonder a lot of the time what the children think about this, and have they ever done their own research, or, do they just put it in the past and want to forget it, or are they doing like their own look-see? I'm just kind of curious on that, but it's none of my business, so I did not take a peek on that. So, OJ was investigated so many times for domestic violence. There are so many 911 calls that Nicole made and that were public. So if you want to go online on YouTube, you can definitely listen to them there. So Nicole filed for divorce February 1992, citing irreconcilable differences as the reason. And though not long after the divorce, Nicole and OJ got back together. However, the abuse still continued. And let's see. Oh, yeah. I mean, the abuse continued for quite a long time. I don't know if you guys heard that. It's, I think it's my kids. My kids wanted to play with my Ouija board and tonight. So it's all dark and stormy and thundery. And so I told them we do it after my live stream. So I think they're up there messing with it right now. So supposedly, though, during her separation from OJ, Nicole was having an affair with fellow football player Marcus Allen. However, Marcus denied this, and it was also backed by multiple members of him and Brown's inner circle. And even Faye Resnick, really good friends of Nicole said that they were not dating. There were people that said that Allen confessed the affair to O.J. Simpson, but Simpson nevertheless let his friend get married at Simpson's North Rockingham Avenue estate. So there is so many allegations here that sadly, since Nicole is dead, we were never going to know the truth about if she did date anybody. And it doesn't matter if she dated somebody. It's none of our business. It was none of OJ's business. He was dating another woman as well, Paula, when Nicole was murdered. And I don't even think they were divorced then. Maybe they had. I don't know. It's so damn confusing sometimes. So Brown lived on South Bundy Drive with the 2 children, Sydney and Justin. And in the early morning of June 13th, 1994, Nicole was found probably about midnight that morning. Nicole was found dead outside of her home with Ron. She was lying in a fetal position in a pool of blood. Her autopsy determined that Nicole had been stabbed several times in her neck and her scalp. And she had 5.5-inch long gashes across her throat, which had severed both her left and right arteries and breached her right and left jugular veins. The wound on Nicole's neck was so severe that it penetrated her spinal column and nearly decapitated her. Of course, there were some defensive wounds on her hands as well. So, guys, that was just some, wow. I mean, it was just really brutal. And I thought I also had how Ron had died. He had stab wounds as well, to a couple of times to his side, to his front, and to his back. So they even had stab wounds like in the back of their heads, where the person who was killing them stabbed them in the back and used it as like a fork to scoop them up so they could stand on their feet. It's really brutal. I just cannot describe to you guys how messed up it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting some links for you guys to start watching, to start getting some information. And I'm also going to try to do episode synopsis of the People versus OJ on Netflix, in case some of you out there were not able to watch it. That damn mosquito is definitely still flying around, and I cannot wait to crush his little mosquito ass. And he's coming over here. He's going to just come down. Just calm down, little mosquito. Let me crush you real quick. I don't know, you guys probably can't see him, but damn it, he went way back there. Hear that? That's some weird stuff going on outside. Okay. Sounded like someone was like, bum, 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 bum. That's weird. That's weird. That's some weird shit. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm down here all by myself. It's dark and stormy, and it's getting a little freaky. I'm not going to lie. Let me take some of your comments. And I am so sorry. I'm trying to get that stupid mosquito. This is just driving me a little crazy. Kitty says, if y'all are ever domestically assaulted, please seek help. Hold on. Mental abuse, emotional abuse, or emotional, it all counts. I've been gone from mine for 2 months. It feels rough, but it feels good too. We are so proud of you, Miss Kitty. We love you so much. And you are our strength. We love you. Yeah, Kenny was like, if he didn't do it, why does he owe the family money? And right, that's he was found liable in the civil case as responsible for their deaths. So, whew. Oh, Kenny's like, don't let them play with that Ouija board, Mary. Yeah, I know, right? It's weird. It's okay. Girl, it's the kids conjuring spirits. That's what Kenny also said, to nearly decapitate someone is very specific. This is not a robbery gone wrong. This was an assassination. And Kenny, also, thank you for mentioning that, because I want you to hold on to that, because there is a theory, that is the conspiracy theory, that this was a part of the robbery that had been taking place because Mesa Luna was like the hub for cocaine drug dealings during that time. So a lot of the waiters had disappeared or been killed. 2 specifically disappeared, and 3 to 4 were killed, just randomly assassinated. And one guy, he was leaving the ATM. He had a gun pointed in his face, and the guy told him, give me your money. And he said no. So the guy shot him point blank right in the head and just left the guy there. Didn't take his money that he had just taken out of the ATM, and just left it with the guys that he had came with. And he arrived in a black van with more than 1 people. So there definitely is grounds to think that there is a conspiracy, but I just don't think it is true. Whenever you have a trail of blood going from the murdered victims to literally a trail to the ex-husband's house, who brutally beat and threatened to kill her all the time, to the blood literally inside of his car, his house, the walkway, the stairs, the carpet leading right into his bedroom, on his socks, on his clothes, in his shower. I mean, I just don't think there's any room for deniability. It's just that, and Kenny, if you weren't alive back in the early 90s, there was a fuck ton of racial tension. Growing up in the South, there definitely was. And it was even worse in the big cities. I remember watching the OJ trial. I remember watching all the sensations that came out. I remember all the headlines on the tabloids, because this was before internet and cell phones, and people were just, I mean, I remember at my lunch hour when I was a sophomore, sitting there at lunch with so many people in my town because we were watching the verdict come in, and everybody was glued. The entire town was eating in restaurants that had televisions because they wanted to see the verdict come in, because we all thought he did it. I mean, a lot of people stopped focusing on the evidence and just went with it was all planted, and they did it because he was a black man. And you just physically and logically, that is not possible. For the cops to plant, and we're going to go over this too in another live stream, for the cops to actually plant all of this evidence on OJ, or for anybody to go kill them with the intention of pinning it on OJ, it does not make sense. It's not logical, and DNA specifically wise, there's no way they would have been able to get away with it. So that's just my opinion. So, all right. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. We're going to be back next Friday. We're going to do a little earlier next time though, guys. Okay. And what we're probably going to talk about next week is actually OJ and Nicole. And we're going to talk about their abusive relationship, things that have been going on in OJ's past. And we're also going to reveal some poll questions that are going to be posted on my Twitter page. So I love you guys so much. So don't forget, tomorrow night, we are going to be doing our patron only, or our patron Saturday night live stream as usual. So if any of you would like to join me out there tomorrow night, you are very welcome to. I love you all so much, and I will definitely see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you all so much for being with me tomorrow night. And I am so damn freaking glad that I was able to do this, because sadly, the damn weather is just so bad out there right now. All right. Hang on one second, guys. I am trying to actually find my camera so I can end the stream. Where is the... Here's Google Chrome. Uh-oh, Blake. I can't find my camera. To end the stream, babe, I need your help.
What?
Husband, so see, when I take it down, it's not there for me to end the stream. It's so... I'm sorry, I'm on my daughter's Google Chrome. See, it's not there. It's crazy. See, it's not even here either. Oh my God. Okay, guys, this is just getting so weird. I am going to try to end this somehow. I love you guys, and I will see y'all next time. That was some hard ass stuff. Bye, guys.